Happiness through curiosity on the Ranveer Show. I want to actually deep dive into exactly what Muhammad of Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori did, etc. And we'll break it down from a historical perspective after this.
Sure.
But maybe as a precursor, I want you to address the non-Hindus watching this podcast. Is it fair to say that we are just talking about history as history and not at all about Hindu versus Muslim? Because there is communal tension in the country today. Okay, and I don't want to be a part of that soup. In fact, I want to be the reverse of that soup because of what our country needs geopolitically today, which is unity. If we keep fueling this Hindu-Muslim debate more, you're actually going against what our country needs now and over the next 15 to 20 years.
This has been the same narrative that was seeded about 10 years after independence. That you should not talk about uncomfortable or unsavory truths of Indian history because it is going to offend only one community. I'm not naming any community.
Like Muslims.
Yeah. If you talk about that is a narrative. What you said is a variant of a very, very old narrative which began roughly after independence.
I think it's true, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. And I also think that modern Indian Muslims acknowledge whatever happened. And we've had people like KK Mohammed come on the show and talk about it. All the Islamic invasions. They don't look at themselves as any different from Indian Hindus. They are also as Indian as you and me.
Fair enough. My point is not that. For every KK Mohammed, I will show you at least 30 Muslim clerics who come on live TV every night on debate. And it's there, the footage is there on YouTube. They will say that Aurangzeb is our hero. He is a role model. They'll say Mahmud of Ghazni is a role model. So, how many KK Mohammeds versus whose voice carries more weight within the larger community? We're talking about the truths, right? Does KK Mohammed's voice carry weight? Does the late Abdul Kalam president's carry weight? Or does a preacher's voice carry weight?
In my opinion, at least, see, I'm not Muslim. This is based on all my Muslim friends, all the conversations I have in urban centers, as well as a lot of the interior India parts that I visited.
Okay.
You know whose voice carries the most weight? Honestly, Mohammad Siraj and Mohammad Shami, who are the two key fast bowlers for India.
No, that is fine, Ranveer. The point is, when you have these things, sartan se juda, nobody provoked that. You got it? So you have any number of, video clips going around where all these fellows basically openly give out threats, brandish swords, saying that, threatening to cut off the neck of the Prime Minister of India. Which Hindus, has made them speak like this? Nobody. Which brings us to the point of intent and basics. All right. The Hindu side has always been on the defensive, or they have been responders to an unnecessary provocation. 2019, there was the vandalization and the destruction of the Murti of Durga in Chandni Chowk in Delhi. Nobody provoked that. No Hindu provoked that. So, see, when you talk about this communal thing and all that, you have to essentially compare the fundamentals. There is an extraordinary book called Riots and Wrongs, which has documented almost all the Hindu-Muslim riots that have occurred in India over the last nearly 300 years. It is a very revealing book. Maybe we can have a discussion on that some other day. But this is a point. The Hindu side has always responded. The other side has always provoked.
We've had people on the show who have exactly the polar opposite opinion.
I'll be happy to debate with them.
Okay, yeah. That's a fair opinion, because there's no chance that I'll be able to debate with you on this because I'm a podcast, I'm the host of the show. But maybe a fair argument about the whole Hindu-Muslim thing is when there is someone from the other side talking to you and your scholarly material will be against his scholarly material.
Certainly, we can
But
do that.
from my standpoint, after doing like more than 500 podcasts, I don't completely agree with you because I've heard opinions from all sides.
Then I'll give you a reading list. Maybe we can expand on this discussion in the next episode.
Okay, cool, fair. Which is also why, while I'm a student of history, and I totally believe that the invasions that happened before colonialism began have ruined a lot of things for our country, and I would also go as far as saying have killed off a lot of the love that Hindus have for Hinduism.
Yes.
Fair to say?
Not love. I would say especially Hindus throughout northern India, parts of what is today known as Pakistan and Afghanistan, they were all part of India.
Yeah, I mean...
So no trace of Hindu Dharma survives there.
Yeah, fair.
You will not find a single temple of classical origin in that entire region.
Yeah. So as a student of history, seeing it very objectively, of course it hurts me as a Hindu.
Yes.
You know that my own culture, my own ancestors have gone through this.
Yes.
My own ancestors were raped and pillaged, etc. But I have to have social responsibility as a modern media professional with this kind of a following. So I always fear talking a little bit about the invasion side of things.
Yeah.
Because, so I mean, I think, you know what we were talking about, how you've dedicated 30 years to it. You've dedicated 30 years to one subject, which is why you talk about it with as much passion. And I want to bring it out.
Okay.
But I do a lot of other subjects as well.
Yes, I watched some of your episodes. Yeah.
So I see it from a political viewpoint. I see it from a geopolitical viewpoint where we have international viewers who will get this impression of India. And honestly, the more you talk about Islamic invasions, whether we like it or not, it is going to fuel Hindu-Muslim tension in this country.
No, I won't. Again, this falls in the realm of received opinion because unless you don't understand history, if you don't know where you came from, you won't know where you're going.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
Okay. I mean, I'm speaking on behalf of all the conversations I've had with people my age. Okay. And once again, I'll ask you the same question, that before we move into actually breaking down the Islamic invasions,
Sure.
Talk to the young Muslim watching this podcast.
It's simple. Ask this young Muslim to honestly read and understand the fundamentals of his own faith, unaided by, preachers or anybody. Just as he would study a textbook, a physics textbook or something. You use your logical faculty. Read the fundamentals of his faith. Okay. Compare it with where it stands on the plane of rationality and logic and reasoning. Then the truth will become evident to that Muslim.
Okay. I don't agree with you here, but I will let you continue.
As simple as that.
Yeah. Okay. And I don't agree with you because I've not read the Quran myself.
You should.
Okay. Fair.
You should.
Fair.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about Islam because I've not grown up in an Islamic family. I'm sure.
Neither have I grown up in Islam.
Which is
family.
why I don't think you have the right to fully comment on this.
This is a very old debate which, this is a line which is one of those instruments used to prevent a logical scrutiny of Islam. This was the same line that the church and the Pope in medieval Europe used to prevent a rational, critical scrutiny of the Bible, of the fundamentals of Christianity. Both these faiths are cut from the same cloth.
Okay. Maybe.
So the moment anybody critically scrutinized Christianity there, what was the result? Stonings, public beheadings, what is known as witch burning, and imprisoning. You know how Galileo was hounded? Why? They didn't go out with swords to kill anybody. No. They simply questioned the rational and logical basis for both the Old Testament and New Testament, the foundations of Christianity. Look what happened.
Okay.
The world has become better for that.
Okay, sir.
All right. So who are the people who did that? People from the same Christian religion.
Okay.
They questioned it. So let the internal reform begin from this. Each time when the argument comes up that non-Muslims and non-Christians, because they are non-Muslims or non-Christians, they don't have a right to scrutinize, the books of the teachings of their religion. But it is the same teachings which impel their followers to either convert or kill the followers of, other religions. Yeah.
And I have respect for the life that you have lived, dedicating yourself to studying. But if you and me as Hindu men comment on someone else's faith, it's the equivalent of a Jewish person saying, "Arey, Ramji told Sita to commit sati."
No,
Your whole
it's
religion.
it's not the same.
I think it's the same.
It's a false equivalence.
Exactly.
No, it's a false
That's
equivalence.
what they would say about you.
No. Now, fine, I'll grant you that.
Yeah.
Their fundamentals tell us to abuse Ram and Sita in the vilest terms. Their fundamentals teach them, saying that an idol has to be broken because it is against, whatever their god or whatever other things they have. So are you telling me that here is a question of my survival? Their books tell them to do this to me. And you are telling me that I shouldn't read, my suffering is a result of those books. And you are telling me not to read them because as a non-Muslim or a non-Christian, you're not supposed to read it because you can't understand it, you're not qualified. It doesn't work like that, sir.
I mean, see, I'll tell you what I feel. I don't think that anyone should completely rely on a book as the complete compass for their life.
Without book, both these religions don't exist. Kitab plays a central role in their faith.
100%.
Yeah.
But not all Muslims and Christians fully listen to the book because they understand the truth about modern society.
This is, to an extent, I'll grant this to a good extent to, Christianity, but not Islam.
Okay. At least the Muslims that I know, and we've had some Muslim scholars on the show as well.
Sure. So
at least I'm not. This is not whitewashing all Muslims and all Christians all over the world. And I'll also I'm not saying that Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma is better than or worse than any religion. But in India, in our culture, we have the freedom to debate, which is why even this is happening.
So you're actually making my case for me.
Yeah. No. I 100% agree with you here. That this is one beautiful thing about our ancient culture, that we are not given one book and told that this is how life is, which is what allows us to expand a little bit. But in saying that, here, the underlying argument is address a modern day Indian Muslim who loves India as much as you and me, not all Islamic people all over the world, all over history. So I personally feel that, again, whenever we have these Hindu versus Muslim conversations, we are not being socially responsible based on the modern geopolitical truths that surround India.
I don't understand. These are very, very general terms. When you say socially responsible, things like that. When the question is about your survival, all right? So why is it the responsibility of only one community to be, in quotes, what you call socially responsible? Why doesn't the water flow from the other side?
I'll tell you why. Have you seen Border? And in the end of Border, the film...
Let's not go into movies. Cinema is the worst yardstick for any debate.
I'll tell you why it's if we're truly talking about why it's a responsibility of Hindus and Hinduism, because this is what we learned from Yudhishthir, Arjun, Bhim,
No, we didn't learn this.
Sahadev and Nakul.
No, we didn't learn this.
I personally feel we did.
We learned strength. We didn't learn apologetics.
We also didn't learn to oppress people from other faiths. We learned to accept. And we learned from the Mahabharata that you need to adjust Hinduism based on the times that you live in.
To an extent, yes. But, you're trying to connect many disjointed threads which don't which can't come together like that.
Okay.
In the fashion you
One
described.
second. I want to give a base layer here. I'm not trying to win an argument against you. I'm trying to come to a narrative before we enter the historical
Sure.
Islamic invasions conversation.
Okay.
So there is no me versus you here.
No, definitely
at all.
not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Disagreements build better podcasts. And podcasting has reached a point now where, sir, if I just allow you to expand on the history that you have read, I'll be doing injustice to my audience, which has heard a lot of this on the show already. So I need to get fresher content. I need to challenge myself and you to reach that fresher content.
Sure. Okay.
And the audiences help the podcast evolve. We have both pro-Modi, anti-Modi, Hindus, non-Hindus watching the show. So we have to address everyone here. We can't just address the Hindus as I did 2 years ago because I was also learning all the stuff you're talking about for the first time. But I have a lot more perspective now, which is what's making me like ask you these questions.
Okay.
Let's go on. So again, if you want to debate, I can go on for another hour.
We can do that.
We won't expand on the historical conversation.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
So would you like to expand on the historical conversation?
Your wish. You can steer it any which way you want.
Just address the young Indian Muslim.
No, I told you, no. That's my only prescription.
Okay.
Let him or her read the fundamentals with an open mind of his own religion, with an open mind. See where it leads to him.
Okay.
Honesty is the best policy. As simple as that. I have I'm not inimical to anybody. What are truths are truths.
Okay.
Whether I like it or not is separate. That's where my, bias and other things come in.
Fair. And I'm sure that there are non-Hindus who say the same about you also.
Let them.
Yeah.
But that is the point. You keep an open mind.
Okay.
Don't begin with a preconceived notion before you study these things.
Okay.
All right. So that is the point. What is it that leads to violence? This kind of thing. Why does it emanate from only one community? And why are Hindus as victims of that violence? Should always be accommodating, should always, to use your Yudhishthira analogy, adapt to these times. At what cost? No Hindu, you will not see a Hindu unless he's a hardened criminal or something, which is a different thing. All right. The fundamentals of his religion won't teach him to behave like this. That is a point.
You're saying the fundamentals of Islam teach them to be violent?
That's why message.
That's very generalized, sir.
It is true, sir.
If that was the case, Abdul Kalam, Zakir Khan,
so
Mohammad Siraj, all these guys would be violent.
Correct. So they are exceptions.
No, then it's not a generalized.
They are exceptions. I'm speaking on the strength of what the history of Islam, not just in India, throughout the world. Okay. This has been a behavior pattern.
I think honestly, there's many people who will agree with you in the world. Okay.
Then I have to see what their scholarship is.
Okay. I personally disagree with you as a young Indian, and I have a different message to the young Muslims watching this.
Then I'll give you my reading list.
Your
reading list. Yeah.
Done. I'll bring a reading list from the Muslim side also.
Please.
Okay. Because that's what podcasts
we'll see that after that debate, we'll both agree.
I don't think that there is any difference between me as an Indian Hindu in this country and an Indian Muslim friend of mine who's grown up in a similar societal structure. So I was born and raised in Vadala, Mumbai. I have Muslims who were born and raised there. Thought process is similar. Love for India is similar. And history repeats itself. So if history is truly to repeat itself, we are on the brink of another invasion. Perhaps this time not by another religion. Perhaps this time by another country. Perhaps this time by another psychology. Perhaps this time by something like another ideology, which is what's happened in America. The country is being broken down because of a lack of unity. I just don't want that to happen in my country, which is why I want to promote Hindu-Muslim unity a lot in the modern day. Fair to say?
Fair to say, except that the foundation of unity should be based on an acceptance of the past and a reconciliation and a kind of promise to see that we don't go back to those days.
As in, you're saying
it has to be on the foundation of honesty. The best example for this you can see in Germany, okay, where throughout Europe, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, even in America, generally in the West, denying the Holocaust is a criminal offense. And Germany itself has erected several monuments that narrates the complete gory details of the targeted genocide of Jews for the simple reason that they were Jews.
Okay.
The Nazis, and they made an oath to themselves after World War II that this country will ensure that no ideology like Nazism, is ever born again.
Got it. So what you're trying to say, I think, is the Indian Muslim needs to accept that yes, this happened and not deny it.
Yes.
That's what pisses you off.
Yes. No, it doesn't piss me off. The point is that if they keep denying this, it will repeat again.
Okay. As in that
if they think.
Okay.
See, one thing is you accept the truth and say sorry and, take a solemn promise not to repeat that. Nobody has a problem. One. But on the contrary, if you do two things, one is to deny that it ever happened. Two is to feel proud that, our ancestors did this to you.
Okay. Again, I don't think all Muslims feel proud. Of course, there's good and bad people in every society.
Nobody is speaking about all Muslims. So here is the thing. You and I are having this show.
Yeah.
Why doesn't a Muslim even think like this? I'm not saying all Muslims, but your average general person, why can't he or she feel that, we also owe something on these lines? Okay. We are also as equally responsible for maintaining what you call as this harmony and this social responsibility. Okay. I never see these voices on TV.
Okay.
I never see these voices in mainstream.
I agree with you here that we don't hear all this too much, but another way of looking at it is maybe it begins from this podcast, that this message is going to go out to them. I don't know,
sir. I'm not a social reformer. I'm not I don't speak on anybody's behalf.
Okay.
I live a very, very simple life with a few convictions.
I'm an engineer, so I think of a solution-oriented mindset.
Okay.
Rather than just leaving it as tension.
It's very dangerous to speak on the behalf of other people.
Okay.
So there is a thing that why meditation is recommended, why these inward practices are recommended, because for the duration that you meditate, your problem will not be there for the rest of the world.
Your problem will not be there?
You are a problem for the world. So when you withdraw inside, you meaning not you, I include everybody, myself. So for the duration that I am engaged in inward practices, that I remain silent, I don't cause any harm or any change to the world.
Okay. You think Islam is doing that?
Naturally. There's enough evidence, sir.
Okay.
How much more do you need?
Again, we need a Muslim next to you to
Why not?
have this debate.
We can.
I'm not equipped to.
Certainly.
Okay.
We can.
Again, I do feel that there's good and bad in every society. And these are slightly generalized.
The whole universe works very, very hard to make sure that you and I are breathing every moment.
Yeah.
We don't live in a vacuum. We are not born in a vacuum. So an entire creation works overtime to keep us going.
Okay. I'll tell you what I appreciate you for. You do represent a section of Hindu thought. And I think these opinions should be out there. We've had Sikh historians put out their opinion on the Khalistan issue. And if there is anger or angst in a human's heart, especially someone like yourself who's dedicated their life to the study of a subject, I want to give this platform to people like yourself to put out your actual emotion in a very raw way, because that's the beginning of my motivation, which is Indian unity, which is what I think my country needs.
Okay.
Which is why I'm giving you all these questions and debating with you on these things, but you have the complete right to express yourself on the show, sir. And while I know it's dangerous, all I have to say is risk hai to ishq hai. So
there's no danger to us from anyone except ourselves. I'm telling you.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this clip from the Ranveer Show, we've uploaded a ton of other clips related to a ton of other topics. So explore the channel because there's something for everyone.